Welcome to the Serendipitous Rebel podcast. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Krystal. We're business coaches and retreat hosts for bold, purpose-driven women who are ready to build businesses that actually fit their lives.
This podcast is for the authentic, rebellious entrepreneur who's done playing by everyone else's rules. We know what works because we've lived it, coached it, and savored the journey.
Join us for real talk on business, life, and everything in between.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Serendipitous Rebel podcast. I'm Wendy Guth, and I'm here with the ever so funny and amazing Krystal Eicher, who cannot stop making me laugh, no matter how hard I am trying to be so serious, and it's not working. But that's okay. That's okay.
It's okay.
So today we are actually talking about something that actually a coach that I follow was talking about. And I will, before I go into details about that, let me set it up by saying right now, if you've been showing up consistently, you've been posting, you've been emailing, you've been sharing stories, you've really been showing up, and you feel that the response feels quieter than usual.
Mm-hmm.
And you're starting to think, oh my God, this is me. Well, I actually don't think it's you. Something has shifted in this online space. And if you're building a coaching or consulting business right now, and I'd actually throw in really any kind of business right now, without understanding what this shift is, then you're trying to sell in a market that you don't fully understand. So this episode is about what Jill Coleman, who is a wellness and fitness coach, well, she's a coach herself who now coaches other fitness and wellness coaches, talked about recently, that's called trust recession.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, what the heck is that? And how she named it, and I think was really, really clear and a really good definition, was online customers have had enough of poor experiences. The courses that overpromised, the coaches who underdelivered, programs that took your money and your time and gave you absolutely nothing that lasts.
Yeah.
And this has led to an overarching market-wide wariness. We're cautious. It's not that we're apathetic or completely disinterested. It's just that we're really cautious. We're worried. We're not sure. And, she had said this is a crucial difference. And I completely agree that, I think personally, I think about all the courses I've taken, all the experiences I've had in the online space. And, yes, there are quite a few that were good,
Mm-hmm.
even great. And I'm actually a huge fan of Jill, is under the Jill Fit umbrella. And I've done actually a lot of her courses and programs and things, and incredibly impressive. But there's also the side that says, oh my God, why did I do that? Why did I spend money on that? What was I thinking? And but getting burned means that you care a lot, that you want it to work, that you invested the real money. And what ultimately came out is this ended up, for whatever reason, making me feel like shit. And I don't want that to happen again. So I need to protect myself. I need to protect my investments. and my
Yes.
business. And so, wait a second, like I've been burned more than once. Hold on.
Yeah, I think that when you, especially beginners in the online industry, when you first start out,
Mhm.
you are flooded with information. The minute you start a business, you're flooded with ads.
Yeah.
There are things online that tell you you need this, you need that. And it really does, and it does what it's designed to do. Okay. It's
Hmm.
designed, the marketing of those things are designed to pick at an insecurity or a problem that you have so that you purchase their thing. Okay.
Hmm.
It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. The problem is that most of us get into those things, we discount what we know,
Hmm.
we discount who we are, and
Hmm.
we end up buying into these things that either that work in competition with those things that we already have internally. Okay. They either, you know, I have a marketing degree, and yet I had bought all these marketing courses and then sat through these marketing courses that were like, you need to know your target audience. And I was like, well, no shit, Sherlock. And it it
Yeah.
was incredibly humbling, right?
Hmm.
It drained my bank account pretty damn fast.
Hmm.
And it really did stall a lot of my momentum getting started, right? Because I did that and I did it to myself. I have no proof,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That was my own imposter syndrome and insecurities and other things that were playing into that, okay? Well, now I'm older, wiser, seasoned, probably a little saltier too. And
Hmm.
I look at a lot of these things with a lot of skepticism because, yeah, I've been burned before. I've invested thousands of dollars into things that didn't do what they said they were going to do, garbage programs, right? That were packaged in bright and shiny production. Okay. And now you have AI that comes into the equation, right? And adds to it.
Hmm.
And AI can generate content and ideas for courses and for things at maximum warp speed. And the flood of picking at the scabs and picking at the insecurities via ads has not gone away. In fact, it's just amplified. When you log onto social media, all you get is an ad, right? An ad for this,
Hmm.
an ad for that. I much more prefer the home decorating ads that pick at my scab that my office isn't decorated accordingly. So when it's listening, I'd rather get those ads and not the
Yeah.
ads about how to grow my Instagram or my TikTok following, right? But it's there, right?
Hmm.
And so the result of that is this paralysis online and this slowing down of market. And I think that's a really important thing to think about because I think that there used to be industry benchmark standards
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
a long time that we held our hat on. If you had a 20% conversion rate for your lead magnets, that was supposed to be like a standard thing to look at. You know, we wanted a 5% conversion rate, 3 to 5% for sales. We're seeing those numbers really, really drop across the spectrum.
So it really is. If we look at the industry and we look at really what has happened, we've been through I guess you could call it like a course era
Yeah.
where low cost, high volume, heavily marketed, everyone with a framework and a Kajabi account can launch something. And it's true that there's so many not there's so many coaches who are like, everyone should do a course. Let me show you how to do a course.
Yeah.
Everyone should do a program or whatever. And there's so much out there. And on the it's almost like, and I think about what I've done in my 10 years in this industry. And I mean, I can cherry pick out of everything what I learned. But my God, I've spent so much money. And I also have a business degree, and I laugh at myself, really. And I think the thing also really is, it's not only that everyone who hangs their hat sells a course, it's that these incredible promises
Yes.
that they get bigger and bigger. And really this is happening as the market gets more and more crowded. You're going to get 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, passive income, freedom lifestyle, laptop lifestyle. And really what started to happen is this gap
Yeah.
between the promise and the delivery became absolutely huge, like Grand Canyon huge.
Yeah.
And it was always like whoever's the most visible is perceived to offer the most performance. Do you know what I'm saying? If
Well,
you're
I think
out
it's,
there,
yeah, sorry. I think it's the most visible automatically had by default the most expertise and authority.
exactly.
And that was
Absolutely.
so wrong.
Absolutely. And all of a sudden, some strange authenticity was a marketing tactic. Not to name names, but I think about, my wife has fertility issues, buy my seeds. That sort of thing, where all of a sudden you're tying strange pieces into your marketing that it sort of makes your head snap. And there's no question this was completely out of control, I think, during the pandemic. Everyone was online, everyone was trying to launch something because we were so unsure about everything.
Yeah.
And I think, and then all of a sudden, it's like you're burning out because these bad investments just were compounding themselves. And now we're in this space, like now we're in the aftermath. And I think that the market didn't necessarily collapse, but I think that there's some rules that have changed. And I think proof matters now.
Hmm.
And specificity matters, and relationships matter.
Hmm.
And I think there is a real level of um it's like, I don't want to be pessimistic, but we have to take the proof and the specificity and the relationships and create a map as to how we can maneuver through this. But
Hmm.
I know that I think that we're feeling the burn as
Yeah.
much as everyone else. It's like people are really quiet. People are really quiet.
Yeah. Well, it's a couple things. Yeah, it's that everything's so diluted too. Like we
Mm-hmm.
produce and create more content than ever before. So it's really hard to understand like how what is holding people's attention. And then when you add that economy of mistrust,
Mm-hmm.
because we have been burned so many times.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're burned, my favorite thing is that, I've invested in programs, did the things, it didn't work out. Well, it's because you had
Right.
a money mindset problem. Because you had, it's not because the course was wrong. It's not because there was an alignment issue. It wasn't because my messaging and positioning were wrong, right? It was my mindset, right?
Right.
But
Right.
it's this, again, somebody who didn't have the authority or expertise sitting at the front of the room trying to sell something that was not of value to probably half the people in the room, right? And so it's a hard, I think the industry had a lot of grifters for a long time and people got burned by them.
Yeah, and I think about the industry, and I think that there are some really creative people out there offering really interesting options as solutions to entrepreneurs. And it's not just problems, but it's solutions to how to systemize, how to, market, how to all the different facets. And I think that we all need to take a step back and realize that not every system fits everybody. And I think that, we in our last episode talked about our breakup with Blueprint, which sort of is a really good fit in this
Mm-hmm.
podcast as well, that you have to be very discerning in how you look at what's out there.
Yeah.
It is possible to take bits and pieces of a whole lot of different systems and figure out what works best for you. So I think what we really do need to look at, and this is both as we promote our products and services,
Mhm.
you know, our coaching, our retreats, our newfangled books, is really showing that people want to see proof over promises.
Yeah.
Don't tell her what's possible, show her what's real. And part of that is you want to see specific results, specific transformations, specific moments. And with that, an understanding of who the ideal client comes with that. Because I think about some of the tactics that I have purchased in the past, and I lean towards being an introvert.
Mhm.
Um, I it's hard for me to do some of the things in marketing that I've been asked to do because it was part of a system. I'm not very comfortable direct selling to people. If they reach out to me, I'm so happy. So, and I understand that there's different kind, you know, there's different elements in the mix here of how you reach your target audience, but it really is, you know, you helped XYZ. This is the kind of person you helped. And this ties into the specificity of it. Um, you know, who is it that you helped and how did you help them? And, you know, telling me that, oh, you changed my life. I'm not buying something that you tell me is going to change my life. And I think about it, you know, we talk about, um, you know, having a joyful life, but I think we've drilled into what specifically does that mean, and it's different for every person.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing that our audience needs to remember is that consistency over intensity is one of the more important things, that you have to
Hmm.
be willing to show nuance in your stuff and stop giving these overarching hot takes that are generalized to everybody, that's
Yes.
promising that we're going to change your life or scale your business. And these are all words that we tend to gravitate towards in sales because they are vague, they are easy, and it's actually easier for ourselves as the marketer because it's hard. It is the
Oh
hardest
yeah.
thing as a marketer of your own stuff to drill in and become very clear, consistent, and direct to the right person. Okay.
Hmm.
That is a very hard thing to do. Some of us are very lucky. We land on our message very early and it takes off. Most of us struggle for a long time trying to figure out what that is. Okay. And when we don't know that, we don't have that clarity, it's because we don't have maybe trust or confidence in what we're doing and what we're selling because there's a misalignment issue. It might be because we're unsure or uncomfortable because this is new. I think that's a
Yeah.
lot of it, right? It is uncomfortable. Most of us are introverts. That's why we choose to work at home alone, okay? We don't like
Yes.
people, okay? So as you're starting to figure those things out, we default to those vague, overpromising things, right?
Hmm.
And then we, in that, maybe do attract the wrong people. Maybe we, and then that puts us into that cycle again of not really sure where to go with it, right? But, and on top of which, we've been burned online by by people hawking their things online, and we don't want to add to that climate of mistrust. So
Hmm.
we hold back from advertising on social media or promoting our stuff because we don't want to be salesy or we don't want to be this or we don't want to be that. I think my challenge to all listeners of this podcast is that in the absence of your amazing offer, an amazing thing, okay, somebody less qualified and louder is speaking up and filling the space. And so I encourage our audience to dig in and fight this climate of mistrust and misauthority and misgivens all the way around, and dig in and get clarity on your messaging. Start to trust yourself, dig into that vulnerable moment, and get louder about what it is that you're doing to sort of combat that.
And with that, I would say that there has to be, or there is a greater need for community.
Mhm. Yes.
And that, look, okay, I'm this badly burned woman that we're talking about. I don't want to buy another thing, but I want to belong somewhere, and I want to belong somewhere that's real. This transaction model, it really has failed me, and I think many of us. But when you look at it more of a community model, I'm hungry for that. I'm hungry for this opportunity where you're building trust. Sometimes it's slow,
Yeah.
but you're showing up consistently, and you're giving me real value, and you're not pitching me on every post. And I think that, so what does that sort of mean? It means that there has to be patience over pressure.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of a new thing. I mean, I get it when you say, my fast action bonus, because we all want people who are fast action or make decisions quickly or whatever. That's just a marketing tactic that I can say grinds on my nerves.
Yeah.
I mean, it really grinds. So we won't be using that tactic because it does
No,
grind on my nerves.
we're actually just
Um,
kind of terrible every time we execute it. Again, because it's inauthentic to us because we don't
oh,
love it. And yeah. And our
isn't that,
audience feels it when we try.
yeah.
Terrible.
And I really think that really leaning into our own stories. I think about one of the things, and we talked about cycles in the phases of business recently on a podcast. And I think about the conversations that we had at the retreat where we were very vulnerable and we shared our stories, and we used ourselves as examples.
Hmm.
And I think that comes across, and and I'm not saying it was actually done legitimately, because that was part of the responsibility for leading, was also leading and participating at the same time. But I think it shows genuine evidence that that we're human.
Yeah.
We're not like a highlight reel. Well, I see a lot of your stuff, Krystal. And
I am a highlight reel.
right.
Um, but that's not why people buy from us. And that's the big thing to remember. And
Yeah.
nobody, the highlight reels are fun, they're engaging, they serve a particular purpose in your marketing strategy, but the things that lends itself to connection, to
Right.
getting people that real genuine look behind the scenes, that's what people are craving right now, and they're
Mhm.
really just not getting enough of it. It's why people gravitated towards it on the retreat. And I do believe that finding opportunities for real community and connection offline are going to be the biggest drivers of your sales. We had a whole podcast on it if you didn't listen to it. I will say it here again. I think the biggest indicator of any sort of business success in 2026 is going to be driven by the community that you're attached to. And community
Mhm.
is going to be the biggest driver of your sales in this online market of I'm tired of buying a course and I'm tired of buying from people I don't know from. It doesn't mean if you have a course it won't sell. It means that you're going to need to get better at networking in a community in a very genuine way to
Mm-hmm.
get the sales that you're used to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think about our community, the Savor community, it is meant to be a relationship container. It's
Hmm.
not a transactional container.
No.
You're not, being a member doesn't mean you're doing it because you want access to content. You
Hmm.
want to join a room of women who are in the same situation, the same, have the same pain points and the same aspirations and all of those things. You want to be with other women who are in the same place you are, and you're just done doing it and trying to run everything alone.
Right.
Um, and um, because I think it's time, and really this is what's going on. Everyone's tired of investing in things that don't work, whether it's
Yeah.
the courses, the coaches, the programs. Some of it helped, but most of it didn't stick. And I think that the thing that really has to be said loud and clear, and I think that that's one of the our soapboxes, is that it's not because you or we are the problem. It's because none of it was really addressed to the either the real root or the real person.
Hmm.
And and to think that it's, well, everyone's checked out right now. Yeah, I think that that's very true, because really tired, um really tired. And this trust recession, I really believe it didn't create women who won't invest. It's created a market of women who will invest for anyone who gets this right.
That's the key piece. We're not for a market of, we're not buying information, we're buying discernment. We're
Mhm.
buying, we're buying good judgment, we're buying trust.
Mhm.
We're buying
Mhm.
trust. So as so the marketer in me is just encouraging people as they're listening to this, as you're creating your marketing strategy and you're putting your prompts into ChatGPT, and don't lie, we know we're all doing it, or Claude or whomever it is that you're using it, make sure you're looking at it through the lens of how is this connecting to my ideal client, and how are we really working through that to build that real connection. And so not
Mhm.
just posting and not just filling up the algorithm for the sake of doing it.
Mhm.
Okay. We're doing it in a way to try and build that connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And making sure just to try to stay consistent when the trust hasn't necessarily been earned yet, because building something real is what you want to do in a market full of noise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right,
Well,
guys. Well, on that note, be sure to jump into our Savor community. It is our online
mhm.
community that we host off of social media for female entrepreneurs to connect, to continue these conversations, to collaborate with each other with offers that are actually legitimate and real from people that are selling them. If that sounds like something you're looking for, you can join by the link in the show notes or by going to our website, serendipitousrebel.com. You can join directly at serendipitousrebel.com/community. So until next week, guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating.
But only if you liked it. Otherwise, just keep it to yourself.
You can learn more about our upcoming masterminding opportunities on our website at serendipitousrebel.com.
And if you have topics you'd like to hear about, be sure to submit them on our website or DM us on social media.
Hey, see you next week. Bye.
Bye.